CEMTV. Reliable news and entertainment.
A very delightful morning and welcome to yet another interesting edition of CEMTV News Surgery. Of course, you know, this is Morning Pulse, the breakfast show that keeps you informed, updated and up to speed with what is happening not just within the Nigerian society, but the African continent and the world as a global village. My name is Francis Oyumaided. Of course, you know, I always come with the entire team. But today we're taking a detour, and of course, as it is a tradition, we're starting with the newspaper headline. So I'll kickstart the conversation by taking you to the front pages of the national dailies and some select newspapers within the African continent. And of course, we'll also have one or two newspaper headlines coming from the foreign state. We kickstart this morning with the Punch newspaper. Of course, the screaming headline: Fake agency scandal, how IGP's special forces arrested controversial DG in Oshun hideout. Details are on page 2 this morning. Of course, the writer to the story: inside the one-week manhunt that led to Adeyemi's arrest, Abuja High Court postpones arraignment until September 30th. NBA orders push for evidence-driven investigation. All are inside page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Above the masthead: federal government ends UN-led humanitarian coordination. Details are on page 7. Page 9 has Reps dumps on state police bill, adopt Tinubu's version. Oyo abduction, Senate, SGF falls Makinda's UN probe demand. Details are on page 8. And of course, there's a picture story talking about the tears. Joy as abducted Oyo pupils reunite with parents. Details are on page 7. You can see the joy and the happiness radiating on the faces of the parents of the victims. There's something worth celebrating this morning. Fan ride booking app triggers airport taxi roll. Fans ride booking app triggers airport taxi roll. Details are on page 30 and page 4. Manhunt begins for killers of Lagos NURTW leader. Writer such story there. According to the story, he was gunned down on his way back from his own very own community. We also see federal government grants Shell 11.5 barrels tax credit to unlock $20 billion investment. Details are on page 3, and that takes us away from the Punch newspaper. The reverse side, a few columns you would like to read for yourself this morning. Adeyemi's appearance and reality, as written by Lekon Sote. Definitely something you'd like to read. Pricing Nigerian children out of education. That's another interesting story. Of course, you recall recently the federal government was under attack for its plan to increase the examination fees for both NECO and WAEC. But we move away from the Punch newspaper, and our next up this morning is the Daily Trust newspaper. The screaming headline: Phantom Council DG detained, but Jabiamila listed as witness. That's still on the controversy with the fake presidential agency. Of course, above the masthead: rescued Oyo pupils, teachers reunite with families. Details are on page 8. Still on page 8, we have parents demand justice over alleged assault of 5-year-old daughter. Page 13. 3 parties failed to submit presidential candidates as INEC portal shorts, or INEC shorts portal. Of course, we also see the picture: federal government expands intervention powers in state police bill. Still the picture of the reuniting event between the abducted children and, of course, the teachers of the school in Orire, Oyo State. We move away from Daily Trust. The Guardian newspaper is our next up this morning. Fuel jumps by 100 naira per litre as Dangote shaved $1.84 billion FX burden to marketers. Details are on page 6. Above the masthead: PFIPC calls Grove for Senate by Jabiamila probe as police arrest Adeyemi. Details are on page 3. Still on page 3, we have Reps query OAGF over deductions from MDA's statutory funds. And we also have Akpabio Abbas defend decision to prioritize Tinubu's state police bill. These definitely will be coming up later on a conversation this morning. We'll also see on page 29 of the Guardian newspaper, UN scales down humanitarian intervention, hands over to institutions. Weather forecast predict daily rain for the next 10 days. Details are on page 2. That is something especially the 26 state governors who have been warned of heavy rainfall in their respective state needs to take into consideration. APC NWC overrules Alia Aidatiwa on candidates list. Page 5 has details. Battle for regulation may cripple power reforms. NERC warns. Orire kidnapping. Senate lawyers, CSOs divided over Makinda's push for UN probe. Definitely what having those diverse views. Next up this morning, Voice of Liberty. Screaming headline, Tinubu to launch Abuja City Walk, Africa's next landmark mega city. House of Reps withdraw own state police bill, adopts Tinubu's proposal. We also see above the mouth said PFIPC scandal, court orders Adeyemi's arrest. And of course in Benue, McBain denies killing 16 villagers in fresh attack. There's a picture story of the House there in session. Of course, yesterday's session bordered on the rescue of the kidnapped school children in Oyo Orire. There were some concerns that we are going to highlight during the course of a conversation this morning. We move away still on the front page of the Voice of Liberty. We see suspend Gbajabiamila to allow probe as Buhari did Babache Lawal. Atiku sends a message to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Those are the major stories on the front page of the Voice of Liberty. And next up is some regional papers within the African continent. Now we're starting with the source. The screaming headline coming out of Ghana, Mahama's third-term bid inspiring arrest of opponent Kozi. Details are on page 2 inside the source. This morning we also see 24-hour economy. No result after 650 billion Ghana cedis 2-year budget approval. KON. Details still on page 3. Also of World Bank, Ghana's energy sector being poorly managed. Details are on page 4 and page 2. Defense Ministry, Zoom Lion partner for post-flood cleanup. And of course, leadership is practiced not so much in words as in attitude. In actions, Harold S. Greene. Details definitely are on site page 4 of the Source newspaper. We move away from the Source. Another paper coming out of Ghana still, we see the Ghanaian Times. The screaming headline, raw rubber export restrictions boosting local purchases. Raw rubber export restrictions boosting local purchases, supporting government industrialization, according to RUPAC. Details are on page 5. Expensive politics shutting out competent leaders. VEEP, that's page 13. Of course, a nationwide crackdown on illegal sand warning. Winning begins. Minerals Commission uncover illegal network. Details are on page 12 and page 20. BOG revokes ZPay license over regulatory breaches, and page 3. SC holds restoration of GN savings license pending final determination. Those are the major stories on the Ghanaian Times, and we move away from the Ghanaian Times. The next stop this morning is the Africa Today newspaper. Of course, a screaming headline, President Mahama tasked to investigate 80% of NDC members linked to Sewi Akuntumbra Galamsey scandal by NPP chairman. Now, for those of us who are not conversant, Galamsey in Ghana is illegal gold mining. But of course, still another issue coming out of African Today. Stop the political noise and answer the 55 million Ghana cedis questions. Henry Inusa Mbila fires at NPP. A shift in the narrative, Dr. Sebi Fairhill's impact of Mahama's justice sector reforms. We also see President must wake up. Saboteurs in the presidency. Details are on page 10. Staff accused of surprising farmers' petition to president over land grabbing in Shai Osudoko. Tantra Hill Queen Mother pleads with Mahama to fix roads and build fire service station. Tantra Hill prepares for vibrant Home Owo Festival on Saturday, August 1st, 2026. And that takes us away from Ghana and the African continent too. The only paper will be taking on the national scene, on the foreign scene rather, and of course that is the national newspaper. The screaming headline: UAE urges diplomatic solution to renewed crisis in key waterways. Iran must adhere to agreement signed with US last month, Minister Nusiba says on Brussels visit. Iraqi state will bring all arms under its control, vows Al-Zadi at White House. That's a bold statement being made there when you consider the different factions, the Houthis, the Yemen, and the rest of the rebels, factions backed and supported by Iran. Let's watch how that projects. Of course, direct Israel-Lebanon talks resume in Rome. And 10 years on, Recep Tayyip Erdogan reflects on failed coup. Of course, we also see beach bedlam, Egyptians seaside town, not what it used to be. Egyptian seaside town, not what it used to be. At your service, generous Dubai resident looks out for delivery riders. All enemies, semi-final clash revives well-documented rivalry. Talking about the football game currently ongoing. There's been a lot of interesting twists, by the way, in the tournament. But that takes us to the end of newspaper headline this morning. Lots of stories to dig into this morning. Of course, we are ready. The News Surgery crew ready. We'll just take a short breather, and when we come back, the full house will be up for the dissecting of the different news stories. Please stay.
This is CEMTV, reliable news and entertainment.
Is it time? I can't wait to see it.
Voice of the people, stories that matter.
Oh wow!
Truth in every moment, now and forever. Across every border, across every land, we form, we empower, together we stand. From Africa to the world, connecting everybody.
What's on your mind today? The goal by Victor Osimhen.